Hey guys! So, in the last video we talked about how I started being polyamorous. I kind of went over my current relationship slightly and the fact that I'm married. I had mentioned a few of the questions that I would be answering at some point on this channel that you guys had asked. And I discussed what the difference between cheating and polyamory is. So today what I want to discuss is how to bring it up with your partner. Now, I can only really tell you based off of my own experience, and my experience was like 3+ years ago, so it's going to be hard for me to give you guys a word for word as to how the discussion went, but what I can give you is kind of the steps generally that were taken between us when it came to talking about polyamory. So it all started with a 2-hour car ride to my wife's family to go visit them. And I felt like that was the perfect time to bring up polyamory and my interest in it. Because, I mean, where's she gonna go, right? So she had known in the beginning of our relationship, 5 years, 8 years now, but 5 years then, that when we first started dating, after a couple of weeks, I had considered breaking up because I felt like I was young and I felt like I hadn't really dated much, and I felt like at some point I would still want to, and I knew that the only relationship style that I really knew of was monogamy, and I knew that if the only kind of relationships I'd ever been in were monogamous. So when I had these feelings and thoughts early in our relationship, I thought about breaking up because I thought that there would be no possibility of me ever getting to date again if I proceeded with the current relationship at that time. So when we did break up, I was really heartbroken about it, and that to me was a sign that we weren't ready to break up. So we stayed together, and for 5 years we were monogamous. So now, back to the car ride. I'm still having these feelings, and it's not like they never left during the 5 years, they just weren't a priority. So now I had mentioned to her that I still love her, and that is something that you need to figure out on your own when you're having this conversation. One, you should probably make sure with yourself and with your partner that a future is what you guys both want to have together, or just have a fun experience. But I would certainly hope that you take some time to kind of figure out what you want out of your current relationship, especially if you're going to have the discussion with them. Is this somebody that you want to marry? Is this somebody that, yeah, we're talking about polyamory. It's great for your pets because they get to have more love in their life as well. So you're gonna want to figure out if do you love this person, and is this somebody that you want to spend your life with? Is this somebody that you want to have children with someday? Is this, or is this just a relationship that is part of your timeline? And these are questions that you should probably ask yourself and take some time to have before you even consider talking about polyamory with your current partner. Because one thing that wouldn't be fair is for you to just drag somebody along in your experience if they have thought that you want to have a future that involves marriage provide your kids. You're being selfish and you're not doing right by them. So be considerate about what it is that you're hoping to get out of all of this. So for me, I knew that my girlfriend, who is my wife now, I knew that I wanted to have children with her someday. I knew that I wanted to get married to her someday. Um, and so I reassured her when we were having this conversation that those are the feelings that I have, and those are the things that I really want for us in the future. But I still want to experience things with other people. So the first thing you really should do, think about what you want with your current relationship. Are they a part of your poly story? And two, if they are part of your poly story, please make it very important to you to reassure them that they are a priority and that you love them, and reassure them about where your relationship is headed. Of course, I don't think when we had this conversation that she was feeling amazing. I probably would not feel that great either at the beginning, because you're, especially when you've been monogamous for so long, it's kind of hard to imagine that your partner wants to be with somebody else, and it can be really hard to digest that information and not take it as you're not providing the emotional and physical needs that they're wanting. Um, so it wasn't like right after the conversation I was like, okay, I'm gonna put Tinder to use all of a sudden. What happened was we spent a few weeks, actually, probably even a couple months, doing some research and watching some YouTube videos like this one, and getting some, kind of informing and educating ourselves on what polyamory even means. Because when I started, I didn't know what polyamory meant. So if you don't know what polyamory means and you're watching this and maybe you still don't, that's perfectly fine. It's a learning experience, probably until the day that we die. One thing that we did do is there was a video. There's actually a book called The Ethical Slut, and we ended up looking for it on like YouTube, and we found a mini series about a couple that have been together for a while and they want to be polyamorous. And it kind of shows a little bit of like their steps that they took. And I think that one, watching those videos and seeing a couple that's been together, um, try to be with other people and seeing their reactions kind of helps you too to like see what kinds of hurdles are coming your way. Helps you to kind of um, emotionally grow up, because it's gonna be difficult. It was very difficult, actually. Um, More so for me, and I got a head start on the polyamory. My wife had let me date first, since it was me who felt like I didn't really have the experiences that I was, you know, wanting, or the experiences that I wanted to have with other people. So I had a head start, and I had gone on dates for I'd say like the first year was all about me. It was my time to go out there and test the waters and see, basically get the experiences I was hoping for, I suppose. And, some of it was great, but it wasn't really going anywhere. I was hoping for relationships, and I think one thing, I just wasn't getting that. I was getting a lot of people. It was just dating for the most part. It was just dating, and no real emotions were being spent on anybody, on the other person's part. So the second year, we tried dating as a couple with other people, other couples. And it was okay. It was The problem there was that when you have a lesbian couple, like my wife and I, we lean more towards women. And so, though we really loved the guys that we were having our relationship with, we just weren't sexually as excited as if we were with the female partner. So when we were dating together, it was a little problematic because we both were more interested in the female. And what usually took place that was a conflict for my wife and I was that typically the female would have a little more interest in one over the other, or or the fact that we were both fighting each other for that person's time. That's a conflict that you don't want to have. You don't want to be competing with your partners or partner. So, what we have found to be best for us in most cases now is we just date separately. And this is kind of answering another of the questions that I had mentioned I would be answering in the first video, is to do we date separately? And yes, at this point in our polyamorous timeline slash story, we date separately. It is just better for us, and that's not the case for everybody. There's like triads. There's couples that date together with other couples, or maybe there's a lot of different ways polyamory works for other people. It's just not for us, at least at this point in our relationship. We didn't have a really good experience the couple times that we tried it in our year together. Another thing that was asked in the last video that I'd like to bring up too is there a hierarchy? So I feel like that's kind of a touchy subject because I think that when you say hierarchy, it really kind of makes it feel like for everyone else, if I say my wife is my primary and I have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they may take it very personally if I tell them that they're secondary, because that just sounds like they're on the back burner. It's nice to have them, but it's not going anywhere. It's just fun and games, and that's not the case. So I kind of wish there was some newer words. Maybe I don't know them, but I would say that technically we are in a hierarchy in the fact that, and the only thing that makes it a hierarchy is that I am married to my wife and I plan to have children with my wife, and I don't necessarily see another person that like I'm going to have a family and have marriage with. Like, that to me, that's what differentiates the hierarchy, and it has nothing to do with their ability as a partner or how much I love them. Like, none of that has anything to do with hierarchy. It's really just comes down to the fact that I'm married and that I plan to have children, and that in itself is a discussion that I have with my other partners when things get serious, is what does our future look like? Because some people, their future is that they want to get married and their future is that they want to have children, and it's my responsibility to try to be as accurate as I possibly can, to be honest and let them know that I personally don't see marriage being an option for a future partner with me. And I am definitely open to kids, love them. So I don't see myself necessarily being a mom, but I see myself being very active in my partner's children's lives. So I hope that in this video I answered all the questions that I could to the best of my ability. I'll probably resurface on things again in later videos. It's really hard for me at this point to just talk to a camera and tell you guys. I'm really much better at this when you're directly asking me the questions. or when I'm having this conversation with a partner. Um, in the next video, we'll talk about our experiences and like whether or not my wife talks about her dating and her experiences, and if I talk about dating and experiences, as well as do we meet each other's partners. We'll discuss that in the next video. So, as like I said before, you can follow me on Instagram at temptingsaitan, and you can ask me questions here in the comments section, or you can ask me questions on my Instagram through direct message or in the comments somewhere. I will find you. And I think that I'll be posting every Sunday. That's my goal. If I post early, it's because I'm going out of town, but Sunday is the goal. So thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.